Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I will discuss the summary of Why I Write written by George Orwell. In the first chapter, we see that the author introduces himself and his passion for writing. He says that when he was 5 or 6, from then onwards, he visualized himself to be an author when he grew up. When he was in his teenage, the idea changed, but still something in him told him that he will be writing even if he pursued something else as a career choice, but he will never let go of writing. He also says that as a child he used to talk to an imaginary friend, and that is why he was mostly lonely. He also wanted to write naturalistic novels with unhappy endings, and the he was very much interested in explaining and describing whatever he wrote. So we can see glimpse of the very same in his book Burmese Days. He also says that he got his inspiration from Spanish War. He also says that he writes to bring attention to important matters. Through his work, he tries to expose lies and he wants to bring attention to important issues. Further in his book, he says that there are several authors and critics that he respected, but when they read his work, they said that this is not a story, it is rather a piece of journalism. But he says that it is important to him to bring issues, political issues, to light, and that is why he wants to write. In the chapter, he also states that Animal Farm is one such example where he is actually talking about things that matter, and he wants to fuse political purpose with artistic purpose. That is how to present an issue in a way that will draw people's attention. He just did not want to write for people's entertainment. He wanted his writing to be purposeful and to highlight the issues that the people were suffering. In his book, then he goes on to talk about England and how even though you hate it or you make fun of it, but you can never stay away from it. You will always be attached to your country, and England would always be part of the author's identity. He further highlights the importance of law in England, that law is above everything. It is above an individual, it is above the state, and it is incorruptible. The belief is so strong in law that people blindly believe in it. He talks about the English government, various parties, the corruption in it, the English electoral system, but he also says that the corruption is not so much apparent, because if it was so, then there would be no belief in the law system. You cannot openly see people bribing each other. So hypocrisy is a very powerful safeguard. Since we already know in England's history, England has been a colonizer. So George Orwell also comments on the insularity of English people and their refusal of taking foreigners seriously. And they also have the habit to not adopt anything from the culture of foreigners. He goes on to make several comments on the economy of England, the elite class, the rich class, the middle class, the lower class, etc. He also talks about the various kinds of government, socialist, communist, etc. in his book. Part 2 of the book is called Shopkeepers at War, where he talks about socialism. You can also pause this video to read the quotations that I've highlighted. I have highlighted few quotations that explain his understanding of socialism with examples. Comments on fascism and Nazism can also be traced in his work. Further criticizes the rich man's paradise, where they say there is equality of sacrifice, but in truth, in reality, there is no such equality. The rich are living in a paradise, whereas the poor have to serve and to strenuously work for minimum wages. In part 3, he can be seen talking about the English Revolution and all the different parties that are vying for attention. You can also pause here and read his notions about Socialist Party, Labour Party, and their thoughts about England as well as the colonized countries. He also mentions how if the Labour Party could have come into clear majority, they could have made an actual effort to liberate India. The 3 imperial policies would have been open: one where they used to continue operation in the empire exactly as before, another was to set the subject free, and the third was to develop an imperial policy that might have led to a more positive impact in the Indian society. Again, you can pause the video here to read about his 6 8-point program where he emphasizes upon nationalism of the country, limitation of income, and reformation of education, so that wherever they colonize, they develop the education system and the dominion status for India, where after ruling India and teaching them how to organize their governance, they would finally free India from imperial rule. With terms to India, he stated that they could not totally free India, as that would lead to hazarded consequences for Indian territories. If they simply left India, a new power would come and supersede India. According to him, India would be better off if the British provided the military protection without interference, so that Indian government could build up their power and develop their offices as well as technology. You can pause to read his comments about totalitarianism and democracy. So in these particular highlights, he's highlighting his experience in Burma. Here he had to work as a soldier for British Army and had to guide a person to his death. He soon realized how wrong it was to cut someone's life short deliberately. And it was not fearful in nature, it was like a steady prayer where he had accepted his destiny. The last chapter did not seem as interesting to me as others. It was known as Politics and English Language, where he was criticizing certain modernized elements of language and talking about how a decline of language must have political and economic reasons behind it. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, do not forget to like, share and subscribe.